Dear Venerable Sirs, Dhamma friends, today also we are going to take time for the talk. May everyone settle down and give the consent with 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Punnaca parang udaayi akkhata maya savakanang patipada yatha patipanna me savaka chattaro satipatthana bhavinti ti. Dear Venerables and Dhamma friends, now the Buddha, after the dialogue with this particular person known as Sakuludaayi, the Buddha is presenting himself, why he is receiving, according to his assessment, from his disciples, the revering, veneration, and they think fit enough to live in dependence upon him with that respect and veneration. The 5th aspect is, the Buddha is, with this, the quotation of the Pali, he says, again, Udaayi, I think I am proclaiming the way for my disciples in terms of 4 foundation of mindfulness. So that is why, and it is so practical, that is why they are respecting me, venerating me, and honoring me, and feel like live in dependence upon me. So that is the way, in this Sakuludaayi Sutta, the Buddha opened the subject of this 4 foundation of mindfulness. So towards the end of the yesterday's talk, we took time to define mindfulness and to understand mindfulness as a preparation for this part. So it may be the continuation of the same. And when and where the Buddha presenting his, proclaiming the way, he start with this 4 foundation of mindfulness, or way of abiding mindfulness, and that start with Idupai kaya bhikkhu kaya kaya anupassī virati ātāpi sampajāno satima vinaya loke abhijjhā domanassa. This is the stock phrase, or the gist of the practical aspect. When and where they are, the disciples are abiding by this 4 foundation mindfulness, the first and foremost thing they do is they abide by contemplation of the body as a body, ardently and with a clear incomprehension, mindfully, and try to do away with the worldly matters away, namely the highly covetous and griefful things, and take time as much as possible to abide by this contemplation. And this contemplation also contemplate upon the body as a body. So they are kaya anupassī virati. 2 times the Buddha is using the kaya or the body. So that means it's a kind of a new approach of someone is looking at to one's own body. It's like a heap, it's like an aggregate, it is like a agglomeration of many things. So therefore, even though you name it as a unit, or as a being, or as a one thing, you are supposed to see it is not a simple unit or simple thing, but it's an agglomeration, it's many things. This is the first and foremost thing, to invite you to be reductionist. Don't consider this as a one entity or a being. try to see it in its respective ingredient parts. When and where you are to see this as a being or a entity, then only you can be emotional about your body, maybe lustful or hateful, or consider the other person is the source of hate, or source of lust, or ignorance. But when and where are you to look at the body, internal, external, as a heap or agglomeration, then your outlook is completely different. So that is why our meditative mind is hesitant to look at the body as a heap. It's always try to understand as one entity, then only this, the self or soul can come into being. Or you can expect another creator soul or supreme soul can happen. If it is, if you can cut it and analyze it the same, you as a creature as well as your creator, then it's a completely different thing. And when and where someone is try to this heap or agglomeration as one entity or one being, it is hesitant to analyze it. Not happy to analyze and cut open it, even in mental. So this is the radical kind of a reflection the Buddha recommended to his disciples. Is recommended to abide contemplating the body as a body, ardently, because that mind never penetrates into this kind of analytical way. It is happy to see it as something to be beautified, or something energy machine, or something to be proud about. These are the way it is already each and everyone familiar with, but the Buddha is going to give a completely different approach. And for that approach, it's here it mentioned, you have to do it again and again, or otherwise to cut through this boredom, or to cut through this monotony, or cut through this lethargic nature, you must have ardent energy. This ardent energy coupled with mindfulness indicate the initial energy or launching energy or embarking energy that is demanding very heavily. That is why it says, when and where you to start your meditative life, or when and where to introduce the mindfulness, your whole surrounding must be changed so that your mind has a vigor. It has a new approach, and that is why I recommend to go to a forest. Leave aside the familiar place and go for higher precepts or virtues, and if possible, better to surrounded by the other practicing people rather than people entertain sensuous pleasure. So it is very difficult for some individual to have it. It must be an endowment. It must be something already available in the society at large. Otherwise, you can't do as a one individual. So that is why we call the dispensation of the Buddha or Buddha Sasana. So when and where you have it, it is not due to your present life smartness or knowledge. It is according to the teaching of the Buddha, your merits of the past life. But even if you have it, if you are not going to take this chance, then all what you have earned go in vain, not put in use. So therefore, if someone wish to look at one's own body through mindfulness and with the ardent energy, the atmosphere, the background is very important. Something like a patient to be operated clinically should be taken to the theater. Otherwise, whatever the urgency or difficulty, unless otherwise in the war battlefield, the barefoot doctors cut open in the tent can't help. But usually it is not according to the normal etiquettes of the medical science. You have to take it to the theatre, and theatre is very expensive thing. Everywhere you don't find it. But that knowledge is available. And that is how you are creating or make conducive condition or facilitate the ardent energy and the mindfulness, and it is claimed some kind of awareness or comprehension, clear comprehension. Otherwise, even if you go to the forest, even if you look at the body, it can create some kind of a lust. For your narcissistic kind of a approach, if you are going to keep the body very beautified and all the kind of thing, still you may be using it as a source of lust, or you may be entertaining others' bodies. So it's very natural. Or otherwise, the hatred can happen. You may complain, others are creating lust, or others are creating hate. So therefore you yourself also must take care, or you must go to a group where others are also concerned about, and that is how your comprehension, clear comprehension at the beginning is very important. Then only you can look at the body as a body or as a heap. And there are 14 methods the Buddha prescribed in the Satipatthana Sutta. It started with this Anapanasati or mindfulness on in-breath and out-breath. And this is the starting point there of Sri Lankan Buddhists or traditional. They usually consider Anapanasati is the only method. And if it is impossible, you consider you are disqualified. You never think there are alternative methods to understand the body as a body, or contemplate or abide by the body as a body, because that is being presented. Interesting enough, if you are to study the Sanskrit version of the Satipatthana Sutta you find in China and other sort of thing, it is not started with Anapanasati. It is started with the body posture, or started very gross thing, and slowly it is coming to the very subtle thing. In the Sinhala or Theravada Satipatthana Sutta, start with this Anapanasati. So there are some sectarianism. Those who can Anapanasati, those who cannot. Now, otherwise, instead of Anapanasati, rising and falling of the abdomen. And they never consider about walking meditation as a part and parcel of the contemplation on the body as a body. Because they are not studying the full syllabus, they are just carried away by the just introduction. Introduction is naturally with the sitting posture. In-breath and out-breath, and not stopping at that level. After that, the postures, whatever the posture you are sitting, still you are in meditation, and you are contemplating the body as body, and posture junctions from sitting to stand up, and from stand up to get up and go, and then in walking, standing, walking, lying down, and stretching your arm, bending your arm, looking at sides, looking straight. All the things are posture junctions. Usually, if you are not familiar with this theoretical presentation, you consider posture junctions as something poisonous or something negative. So they are not the point where you can be mindful. That is because you do not know how to apply this mindfulness that you have earned through this breathing in breath and out breath, or rising and falling, how to apply it to the other bodily functions. So that is why the Buddha giving so much of versions. Yesterday, in introducing the mindfulness, we took the breathing as the primary object, whereby after long ardent energy, one day you will understand As and when the in-breath happen, your mind be face to face with the in-breath. You verily know, I am not with the out-breath. The most prominent conspicuous object is not thinking, not sounds, not pain or feelings, but I am with the in-breath. This is a kind of a very clear clarity in understanding. So there, if you are with the quick wit, you will see the beginner's mind or mindfulness in the beginner's situation. Whenever it is focused to some object, it has to be completely cut off from the rest of the world. So therefore, focusing to oneself or selecting oneself means rejecting the balance. So that you will never understand in your early meditation, but theoretically that's a fact. So therefore, you find difficult to keep simply with single one object, because you can't give up the world. You are not so generous, even for a split second. You are always thinking, even though it is you are made up your mind, even though the Buddha is prescribing it, even though you go to the forest and taken precepts and wear white and sit for that very thing, for the sake of in-breath and out-breath, your mind is not ready to give up the past and the future, other places and other people. So that indicates it is not you, because you are prepared, you have gone to the forest, you with faith, you are with the precepts, and you appreciate mindfulness, but still, it is not the way, because throughout our samsara, or throughout our evolution, we have appreciated so much of things. So when and where, even if it is happening, the loss that you encounter by being with single object never been appreciated. It is, you have to have the prepared mind for that. So whenever it is happening, to appreciate, the Maha says, even dwelling upon one thought moment in the breath, you do not know whether you are confining your attention to one object or not, because it is so little, so trivial, so a thought moment, you can't understand that my mind is now confined with the one single object. It has to do it in number of times or number of thought moments, chittakkana, according to the later exegesis and the Abhidhamma teachings, at least 4 thought moments, you have to associate the same object, then only then you know my mind is with one object and you have done away with the rest. So therefore, even though it is telling the sati matrava or momentary mindfulness, it is also a kind of a momentum. It has to again and again apply, then only you comes to know. And to understand the benefits, pros and cons, you need longer association with the primary object. So therefore, not that your mind is occasionally going to the in-breath and out-breath, but your appreciation, your cognition is one thing and recognition is something. Or reification of the same thing. Appreciation of the same thing is not your responsibility, it is the responsibility of the Buddha. That is why the Buddha says, I insist, I proclaim, I preach them, be mindful out of faith on the Buddha, or out of, with your respect, your precepts, or with repetitive application of the mindfulness ardently, because even it goes, your mind never recognized by simple encounter. It has to happen again and again. And even then, if you go prepared, if you can report telling, amidst of all 1001 objects, I recognize my mind was with face to face with the in-breath. It's a great achievement. It is like in archery or target shooting, you have to handle the bow, or if you are handling a gun, you have to hold it and to understand the target and aim at and trigger off and they are where the bullet is going or arrow is going, and whether it is hitting the target, at least the target board, it's a very difficult thing. Because we are not born with that. But each and everyone, good target shooters, at the beginning encounter a lot of mishaps, misfires and off the shoot. And while doing, one day, as if like a luck by chance, it hit the board, hit the target. And there you feel so happy with determination and mind. And next moment, you expect the same thing to happen, it never happened. But you have to do ardently the same position, the same aiming and enthusiastic practices. And after a while again, one day you can hit it. And it is desperately too long between two events. But the most important thing in the mindfulness as well as in this kind of a training is, if you are to keep on regular practice, the intervals between the successful hitting increases, frequency increases because of your repetitive application. So it is exactly same in the mindfulness or in any meditation. So that is why it needs ardent energy, not to give up easily. Because early the momentum or early catching is painfully slow. Even to the Buddha, it is the same. So therefore, many attribute thing as it is my failure, it's my weakness, or it is I am responsible for this not hitting the target like. But if you are to share with one of the senior meditators, you will understand each and everyone has to undergo the same. And being so, if you are ardent enough only, you can understand early mistakes are your teacher. Without that mistake, you will never, for sure, or with the foresight, you can hit the target. But after a while, practicing, the less and less misfires and hitting. And still not to the bullseye. Still you are hitting to the outer cycles. But still you can shoot to the board. And after long practice only, it is reducing the spreading capacity and coming back to and hitting to the bullseye. So till that, the energy is very important. So therefore, for early meditation, the atapa virya or ardent energy considered as the proximate cause for the mindfulness to succeed. If you do not have, easily you will get discouraged and go. So that is natural in the meditation sphere. If you start with 100 people, even 5 people remaining to continue, it's a great achievement. It's a great achievement. Even then you must not get discouraged. You have to again and again teach. Because the person who succeeded know the art. Other people never. It says that Vidyaneva vijananti vidvajjana parisramam. Nahi vandya vijananti gurvang prasavedana. In Sanskrit it says, only the wise person know the other person's understanding and becoming wise, how difficult. So unwise people can't understand why people are taking so much of time to become wise and apply energy. They know, they right from the beginning thinks it's a failure, so why should you fight? But the wise person who has already achieved, he supports the beginners because he knows the game. Something like a barren woman can't understand the parturition pain. Only the fertilized woman can understand the pain in the parturition, so she knows the pain of the other woman pregnant. She can help the other woman, but the barren cannot. So therefore in meditation for last 2600 years, you can't expect wise people in dozens or gross. It's very rare. So they keep on, that's why the Buddha says, it is a quality of me, I proclaim to my disciples, for foundation of mindfulness, and in an incessant way, again and again and again. And accordingly, any person understand the endeavorance of the Buddha, Buddha to become Buddha himself, it's a so much of energy. On top of that, now he is trying to teach, there only you will understand the very enlightenment or understanding is something, and to pass it to someone, sometimes it feels like hopeless. But again and again you have to do. So, when Jnanarama used to say, advise him, instruct him, even 100 times, don't be miserly. Teach them again and again and again. Even if you instruct for 100 times, the beginner may do the mistake in the 101st time also. Then you feel so angry, because 100 times telling and again for the 101st time. It is still you must be not miserly, give. And you never expect for the 102nd time also that bloody fellow do the same mistake. So still you have to be energetic to give instructions, because he says some serious patients also recover. That can happen. And that is the person who is going to take the flag. So therefore you have no rights. Pandita Sayadaw put it in a very appealing way, very touchy way. He thinks if the disciples are doing mistake in understanding mindfulness, totally it is the mistake of the master. You are responsible. But they are innocent people coming from the street, and you have to introduce the subject. They don't know. And they are coming itself is a great revolution from their own life. When you are teaching, you must be in such a way, even the candidate is a cowboy, you must behave like a bodhisattva and give them again and again. For that, your very understanding, the way you underwent the difficulty is your teacher. If you underwent serious difficulties, you will be a great master. If you understand quickly, you will expect each and everyone to understand quickly. You will be utter arrogant, difficult teacher. So therefore your foolishness has kind of a compassion embedded. So be fool, no problem. In meditation sphere, there is nothing called mishaps. Everything in deep has a kind of a recycling effect. So therefore ardent energy is a must at the beginning. But many, specifically the masochist or specifically the disciplinarian, they expect throughout the meditation it must be ardent. It is not. At the beginning only, at the embarkation only, or launching time only, it is burning so much of fuel. And once the momentum gathered, you learn the art, how to maintain, or how to protect the mindfulness you earn hard. And therefore you must be very, very responsible or moral responsibility not to talk too much, not to engage in all the kind of business and work or busyness, or be careful about your livelihood. If it is not so, the hard-earned mindfulness, just like loose sand, losing through your fingers, it will be disappear. But even then it is not a permanent mistake. Again you can start. So we people, not poor or not bad in understanding the mindfulness. Our foolishness, our poor nature is we don't know how to protect it. Present day you see the consumerization. Present day you see the luxuries. How the people learn, they don't know how to expend it. So decide by the advertisement, by the multi-million companies, ultimately you don't know where it is, where your money is losing. Because you are doing unwanted things. So therefore meditator more, I can put it in this way, more and more you become mindful, more and more you restrain yourself. Not to talk too much, not to get involved with so much of enterprises, and to have utility value rather than the luxuries and consumerization. But it is not a commandment. It's a precept. The Buddha never put commandments. He introduced the mindfulness and says, you see, it is like a loose sand, loosing. So therefore you have to tighten your belts regarding your verbal way, physical way, and your livelihood. So at that level, if you are surrounded by wise people or noble people, you are better off. Otherwise very difficult for you to find the norm. So therefore this ardent is very, very essential. At the beginning, thing is, once you earn, and even then if you lose it, next time when you start like a beginner, again you have to have a big packet of ardent energy. That's the way it is happening at the beginning. So when and where you become aware or clearly aware about your bodily posture or breath or posture junctions or 4 elements, how do you feel when you are living? How do you know that you are living? It is through your elements. You feel heat, cold, hardness, softness, fluidity, cohesiveness, and all the elements. So they are always bringing message. So therefore either you know breath, you know the breath through these 4 elements. You see the cold in breath and warm in out breath, and rubbing sensation at your nostril, in the in-breath, inwardly, out-breath, outwardly. All of them are elements, so ultimately you learn the language of elements that is international and universal. As far as you do anapanasati or in-breath and out-breath, you can't communicate with the person with the doing rising and falling. You find very difficult distance from the person doing left and the right and walking meditation, because they appear like a different shape, different manners and different natural characteristic. But when and where it is to be explained is naturally happening through the stiffness, tension, movements, hardness, softness, everything you can explain with the 4 elements. So whenever you familiarize the 4 elements, you lose rather your me and not me boundary. When you are in closed eyes, it is very prominent. You can understand your body you feel now, body feel heat, therefore external wind appear cooler. You cannot experience the coolness without the body warmth. So when and where you report, I feel cool, you can ask, which one is cooler, the outside atmosphere or your body? So you will never write, I feel cool. You feel, my outside air is cooler. It's go without saying, your body is heat or warm. So you may say, I feel the hardness while you are walking. That means you have to write, you feel the hardness on the ground or in your foot. So when you say clearly, your clear comprehension, I feel the hardness on the cement floor, I feel the softness in the soft sand, I feel different texture in the choir mat. You can see, to feel the hardness on the sand, cement floor, rock, your leg must be soft. When you are walking in the sand is softer, your leg is harder. You see the difference? At a time leg is hard, ground is soft. At a time leg is soft, ground is hard. So which one is preferable, which one is desirable, which one is undesirable, all what you attribute, they are relative on elementary basis. When and where you try to explain the Kayanupassana or contemplation of the body in terms of elements, you find it is kind of a language just like mathematics or just like art. You can communicate with anyone with this element, and whenever you come to the element, you will never fight for I am a female or I am a male. Because elements never understand maleness, femaleness. It never understand you are learned or not. It never understand whether you are young, medium or elderly. It never understand whether you are enlightened or not. So therefore you don't feel related to the element because it is make you just citizen John. Your identity will be lost. So all what you gathered so far in the life will be lost. So therefore you always try to say, my leg, my neck, my ear, all related to your bodily parts, rather than the elementary characteristic. So teachers has to say, can you see the hardness rather than your ear or nose or body or your body part, just see the hardness. Or natural characteristic has a hardness. That is exactly the same for the Buddha as well as for you. As far as you say it is good, it is bad, it is related to your body, this and that, then that is your personalizing. That is the point where the defilement sets in. So therefore, understanding elements as such is a direct link to the Buddha, direct link to the Dhamma, direct link to the other precious things. So therefore, the Venerable Jnanarama used to say, the elements are so obviously, so incessant way, giving you the message, you never get it polluted, because you have your own interpretation, your own likings and disliking, your own choice. So therefore you can't express the elements as such. So therefore at the beginning, elements are not being introduced unless otherwise you come out with your basic report on the primary object, maybe in breath and out breath or posture. Ultimately, very quickly, very sharp, some people go into the elements or sometimes feels the putrefaction or repulsivity of your body. Anything contacted, that make things filthy. Before anything contact your body, you can make presence. But soon it contacted, they are not so. So likewise our body can make anything filthy. Anything come in contact with, make filthy. Imagine you have a plate of rice served, so you can give it to a friend, you can give it to a guest. Once you started eating, specifically in Sri Lanka we eat with the hand, and then we can't share it with someone because it is humiliating to give. And once you put into the mouth, if you feel like sharing that with the guest, never. And once it go into the stomach, and you feel like sharing and vomiting and giving it to another one. And once you shit, I don't talk about these things in the civil society because plate of rice you can talk in the civil society. But undergone your body, you see quickly it is how much it is going. See about the foods, anything. So that is what the way it is changing. It is becoming otherwise. So these things, it is not mine. It is not me. This is the body. Everyone is the same. So therefore, towards the latter part of the life of the Buddha, many people wanted to attend him, giving the hot water, cool water, all the kind of assistance or attendance. One day, the king of the god, Sakka, came to the attendance, and he took the spittoon of the Buddha. It is with the phlegm, the saliva, and the runny nose, everything, and he is taking on his head and carrying. Then the Buddha is telling, I know celestial beings never come to the humans because they are so bad smelly. But now you being the king of the god, coming and carrying all the thrown away things with the spittoon, He says it's a very great privilege for me to have this kind of a help. So even the body of the Buddha says it is repulsive. So easy one to understand, but hardly you can understand it without the hate base. Any person who is specializing on the repulsivity of the body, they are utter hateful characters. Hardly any you can understand, you can meet, people can understand, explain the body in the repulsive way, but without hate. So this is what the Kaya Anupassana. When you are to understand the repulsivity through mindfulness, it's a completely different, because you are not with hate. But if you are doing the same meditation, repulsivity of the body, Asubha Bhavana, easily I myself may be wrong, I consider himself as self-torturing character, or masochist, or is a hate. So I keep as distance as possible. I never take that kind of people to my close mic, because they think it is very religious, it's very ardent to be repulsive on the body without understanding the undermining hatred. So therefore, whenever you do Kaya Kayanupassi Viharati, Vinaya Loke Abhijja Domanasa. For the worldly matters, you must do away with covetousness and the grief. Very difficult. Our reports get infiltrated with these two bad remarks or interpretation. Often our observation are mixed up with this covetousness or grief. So therefore, whatever you see, you can't report. Things you can see. Maybe you are observing things as they are. But whenever you are expressing your character, your values, your likings and disliking in the report. So therefore, report itself is a kind of a confess or cut across about one's character traits. So therefore, don't hide it, expose as much as possible. But later, if you are writing them, you can understand through your own reports how is your improvement in presentation. I have never seen such a master like U Pandita Sayadaw. He makes your grammar corrected, presentation corrected, and all the other culture through your interview reports. He gives such a lucid cut across whatever you are going to talk. Therefore he says, I am not talking about impression upon you, I am talking about your report. You are using this word, it is followed by this word, it is not done. It is wrong. It is bad English. All he can do. So that is how the Buddha says, I am taming people, tameable people, I am the best. Because you must surrender. And the Buddha says, my disciples are not keeping the Satipatthana or four foundation of mindful in the cage and pay respect and offer with the incense and kind of thing. They are practicing. When they are practicing, they have to come to the Buddha and they have to give the report. There Buddha gives a cut across. So therefore, these interviews and the question and answer session, it's a very good opportunity for us to just like go in front of a mirror to see what is happening. So therefore, when and where you thorough, when and where you become acquainted with your body, Kaya Anupassi Viharati, it is shaping you or polishing you in many, many ways. But unlucky enough, many Theravada or traditional yogis, they are regretting telling, I can't see the breath. Thinking that is the only thing and that is supreme thing and it is kind of a special gift. But in my case, I can't see the breath. So therefore they leave. They don't know there are different methods. So therefore Buddha is a kind of a person giving one after the other alternative methods. That is why people are respecting him. He never disqualify anything due to single one or two inability. Therefore, if you are wise enough, or if you are learned enough, if you are acquainted with the theoretical understanding, you can have another alternative. So now, present day, the meditation world is completely gone very bad with this sectarianism. Wherever the place teaching samatha meditation or concentration, they hate vipassana people. Whenever some people teach vipassana, they hate samatha people. So one day when I was in Panditarama, it's a vipassana place, and all the people come in their eyes right from the beginning, appreciate vipassana. So it happened me to say, among the other foreign yogis, in Nissarana we teach both. He was shocked. He was shocked to hear that in one place how you can teach two. Never it happens. If you are vipassana, exclusively vipassana. If you are samatha, exclusively samatha. They make so much of sectarianism with that. But only one master in my life I have seen, Achan Chah, never make any difference. Because he is the master on mindfulness. Mindfulness is the proximate factor for you to develop samatha or vipassana or concentration or wisdom. So without mindfulness, definitely you are in sectarianism. Each and every moment you are not mindful, you are contributing to the world war. You are agitating people. You are agitating yourself, and this vibration is unhealthy. You are going to be biased to one side. And moment you become mindful, you can understand it, how much I am biased and how much appreciating biasness, that is why I am happy to be unmindful. Whenever you are mindful, your attention to your body, you can understand different facets of your very body, and easily that can be applicable to other person. So, iti ajjattang va kaye kayanupassi virati, bahiddha va kaye kayanupassi virati, ajjatta bahiddha va kaye kayanupassi virati. You understand this is my body, exactly the same the other person. Nothing. But you never think it. You think he is a male, I am a female, he is ordained, I am not ordained, he is a Buddhist, I am not. This is what you call sectarianism. And after the recent studies in the RNA, DNA, they found 99%, 98, we are the same. Where is this discrimination? That is of the knowledge. So-called knowledge, it is not the direct understanding. So Buddha says, leave aside that. That is the one creating this covetousness and the grief. Leave that for the moment and try to be with your body as close as possible, as mindful as possible. So you can see many facets. In the walking way, the mindfulness. Sitting way, mindfulness. In your day-to-day activities, how to be mindful. When you are lustful, how the mindfulness. When you are hateful, how is the mindfulness. When you are sleepy, how is the mindfulness. When sounds happen, how is the mindfulness. When thought happens, how is the mindfulness. Anything happen, you will understand you can't suppress mindfulness. Whether you accept it or not, mind is mindful. But you are the very person negating it. It is not with your intention. This is the way this machine is done. So therefore, it's an ordination. You ordain, you accept. We are born mindful people. The Buddha is the only one telling the mindfulness is a birthright. Leave aside all the others and try to understand it. Try to give the priority for that. Give the chair for that mindfulness. Then onward, everything very smooth, no much of friction, and you can associate people, and definitely you will be selective to associate more and more mindful people because it's a way least frictional. It is not a sectarianism, and this is the way. But yesterday I took time how much our religion suppressing mindfulness and promoting all the other sectarianism. And make fussy with other religions and other temples, other teachings, other masters. So instead, when and where you become mindful, then only you become human. Otherwise, you are partial. That partialness, okay, no problem. Mindfulness can accommodate it. And the partialness can accommodate mindfulness. So that bridge, when it is happening, then only the Buddha says you are qualified to study immaterial thing called feelings. First you do with the materiality. So much it is important. Even if you are a senior yogi, when and where you start your sitting, you must start with little bit of materiality, corporeality, the body, and then you sharpen the mindfulness. That very sharpened mindfulness only you can put into the immaterial things like feelings. Otherwise, you may happy to call, I am doing Vedananupassana, I am more toward the feelings, but if you have not enough gathered momentum in the mindfulness, and if you go to the feelings, your misinterpretation or your miscalculation easily can create another kind of frustration, another kind of tension, stress. So therefore, once the Kayanupassana is finished, the Buddha says, Ida udaayi vedanasu vedananupassi virati atapi sampajano satima vinaya loke abhijja domanasa. He can understand once the materiality is being covered or fairly covered with the mindfulness, it is natural for you to feel bodily feelings. For example, when and where you become face to face with the in-breath and out-breath, when the mind becomes calm, you can feel others' feelings in the body. You can feel stiffness, tension, heat bubble, cold bubbles, and heaviness, lightness. All these are some kind of a byproduct or a gift. But still you can keep the attention with the in-breath and out-breath, and you can see the whole body is full of feelings. It's a kind of a nest holding feelings. And when and where you are not mindful, when and where you think about other people, other time, you never feel this. Then only the doctor can feel it. You always go to the doctor and say, just feel the pulses, or feel my temperature, or just feel my emotion, and please prescribe it. Because you are so strange to your body. First of all, when you understand the mechanical or corporeal part of the body, you can feel your body. So that is the signature of the doctor. If you can't feel it, whatever the medicine doctors are prescribing never works. So therefore, your love or your attention to the body, it says, till you come up to the age 35, 40, you don't know your body. You are chemically run. It's biologically run. At 30, 35 only, you understand what is good to eat, what is not too good, what is the time to sleep, what is the time to have a bath, all the kind of thing. So, the Buddha, his enlightenment is at the 35. Imagine if the Jesus Christ to live more than 32 years, what a kind of teaching would have come out. Some people say he lived in disguise later, but according to the Bible, he's been killed at 32. So maturity never came into. So therefore, your body is a hell of a library. Each and every cell knows better than any other person, but you never consult it. You always consult the consultant. Immediately you say, very difficult to get that consultant, can you please help me to get that consultant? And ultimately you are, from here, 40 miles they go to the consultant, to Colombo, and wait for whole one day, and come back and says, yes, I am recovered. So I feel, what a way that if you can rest in here and take, but that may be the treatment, I don't know. So therefore, once you develop your feelings, your tongue, and your smell, your touch, everything is going to give so much of information through feelings. And it is easily applicable to the other person. So therefore, the Buddha is known as Bhavahata Vana, Satahata Vana, Bhavadukata Vedanan. He considers the physician for the whole samsaric sickness. He is overall, he's a general physician. And sometimes he called it the eye surgeon, Salakya. He is talking about individual to be sensitive to your feelings. That is the way you can understand the other's feelings. Not by reading books and going to the machines and the doctors. I mean, they are professionally, they may understand it, but you are the very first person. And Venerable Dhammajiva is the founder of this place, Asokavir Ratna. He met one of the surgeons at that time. And that he is a very devoted person. Whenever monks are going there, he treats free. And one day when Dhammajiva himself went there and asked, you are treating all the patients, monks free, and I am very thankful, and you would have accumulated so much of merits by doing it. He has cracked a joke. He told, not a single monk can explain his symptoms. They are talking about Four Noble Truths at the clinic room. Preaching. After coming all the way, you go and ask, what is the symptom? Doctor, you must be holding precepts. You must be moral. You must practice meditation. And again and again, doctor has to say, I am treating you free. Many queue of people waiting. Please let me know what is your disease. Not a single monk can explain himself. He says, why don't you take my pulse? Why don't you take my blood? Why? And do it yourself. But the way the Buddha is giving the responsibility is to be aware of your feelings. And you are the very first person. It's a direct touch. It's no mediator. And if you do not know, how much other people can make money out of that? The whole medical science. I mean, we can't talk against the medical science. The Buddha is the only person recovered the medical science. It was there, even prehistoric, because he is the only person gave the Jivaka, the royal physicist, the recognition. Before that, all the Brahmins and the high caste people never recognized medical science as a profession because it is violating their caste system. So therefore they told, don't go Pindapata even to the doctors and consider them as dogs. They are violating the existing caste system, but the Buddha is the only person gave it. So therefore all the doctors, present day, allopathic as well as Ayurvedic, must understand the role the Buddha played. But he says, even then, you are the best physician, you are the best person to understand feelings towards the mental sicknesses and the physical sickness. Now we have agents, outside agents. But being a meditator, being the sensitive person with the mindfulness and the bodily understanding, you are opening such a big window and doors to understand any pleasant, unpleasant or neutral feeling, no pain, no pleasure feeling happen. The Buddha says some of them are related to the sensuous world, or family life, or household life. And there is another set, shadow of the same thing in the renunciated life, immaterial world. So cut into two, and anything related to your senses or external stimuli, it is known as household or worldly or materialistic kind of pain, pleasure, or no pain, no pleasure. Once you come and sit in the meditation cushion, it's a completely different set. Mind-made pleasure, mind-made pain, mind-made no pain, no pleasure. And what is the proportion? Later you may understand, majority are mind-made, or in clinical jargon it called psychosomatic. More and more you go to the deeper and deeper in the meditation, you will understand how much your moods or how much your mental outlook influence your body. So that is the place where now the business Buddhism people, or because American Buddhists, try to understand the healing and the kind of a therapeutic way, how much you can do away with the mental sicknesses by meditation. It's a byproduct of this thing, but Buddha never stopped at that level. He says, dukkha, domanasa. Dukkha means physical pain. Domanasa is a mental. Sukha, somanasa. Sukha is physical pain. And domanasa, somanasa is a mental pleasure. No pain, no pleasure. Also have amisa, niramisa. So when you come into the meditation, you will understand when and where the mind go beyond the object or primary object ceases to exist, you can feel a complete world of feelings. Sometimes pleasurable, sometimes painful, sometimes neutral. But naturally you can say, as far as the worldly pleasure or materialistic pleasure or household pleasure is concerned, it is more polarized to the pain and pleasure. When you go to the meditation or renunciated or immaterial kind, its polarity is less, often remain at the no pain, no pleasure. That is what you call boredom. That is what you call monotonous. That's what you call sleepiness. That's what you call the hiding mind. So it is natural for someone to practice meditation more and more. When you go further or deep into the meditation, more and more you feel no pain, no pleasure. We have a very bad nicknames for this no pain, no pleasure, because you don't know the Dhamma. You have no theoretical understanding. You have no book knowledge. So therefore, when and where no pain, no pleasure sets in, it's a great sign of your improvement, if you can give a proper interpretation. But hardly you can do, because you are looking at the renunciated feelings from your worldly viewpoint, worldly eye. So you never know how to interpret it in an immaterial way. So for that the Buddha has the responsibility. He says, more and more you practice, your polarity of the pain and pleasure reduces, of course representing pain and the pleasure. But mind associates often in no pain, no pleasure situation. If you know that, you are the person to gain. When no one is ready to understand, they hate it. They hate it's boring. It's colorless, eventless, monotonous. Mind is hiding. So again you keep on force breathing. When and where the object is disappearing, if you go prepared for these feelings to change, you can understand there is a kind of a feeling to indicate you are not dead. There is a kind of a feeling to indicate you are not unmindful. There is a kind of a feeling to indicate you are not sleeping. You can't express it. Sure, it's okay. And it is more to the no pain, no pleasure. So therefore, no pain, no pleasure has two facets. That is very nicely in Chullavedala Sutta, Sister Dhammajiva is explaining. If you know when you are in the no pain, no pleasure, it's a pleasure. If you do not know when you are in the no pain, no pleasure, it's a suffering. You feel loneliness. Otherwise you call it aloneness. Otherwise you call it peace. Otherwise you call this as leisure or solitude. But when and where the solitude sets in, you feel like outcasted, you feel like neglected, you feel like bored. And that is why elderly people hanging in front of the television and wasting all time, thinking no one is taking care about me, so therefore nothing to do, and you are destined to the house for elders and looking at the television and wait. They don't know how to make you sit. So therefore in the West, taking pension at the 55, it's a severe phobia. So they become outdated then onward. They have money, but who cares? Put them into the house for elders and hospice and all the kind of thing. But they don't know. They have never practiced this solitude. They have never practiced mindfulness. So no one is going to teach them also. Not that they are disqualified, but that is because you never recognize this no pain, no pleasure, because you can't make a commodity out of that. It is not sellable. Often, the very individual earn it, hate it. So that is the cancer, or that is more than AIDS. If someone had to understand, you have to see how revolutionary the Buddha is on the feelings. He says 2 kinds of feelings, renunciated kind and the household type. Each and everyone has pain, pleasure, and no pain, no pleasure kind of 3 facets. And the day you understand it, day you separate it out, you can understand more and more you go to the advancement of the feeling, more and more you become lethargic, or monotonous, or bored, or mind is sleepy-like. And you ask how to get rid of. That means how much you hate it. So in the interviews, one has to take time and says, is that kind of lethargic thing or monotony or kind of sets in due to your practice, or is it normal in your day-to-day life? No, day-to-day life, no problem. Only in the meditation, when and where you associate the object frequently, then you can expect the boredom to set in. So imagine if you can go prepared with the learning, with the theoretical understanding, and preparedness is a completely different thing. So therefore the understanding feeling is the first step to the immaterial sphere, and with the armed with the mindfulness with the materiality, is naturally it is going to the pain, pleasure, no pain, no pleasure, materialistic type, immaterialistic type, and then only you become spiritual. That's the start, clear start. You are going to vipassana. Of course, even at the body level, you are learning how to do away with the covetousness and grief. But in the feeling, it is very sharp. It's a very short circuit, short waves, you can understand. And when it is happening, you can see your mind interpretation, the mind factor or chittanupassana, how when and where no pain, no pleasure sets in, you develop hatred. Undermining or latent tendencies, hatred, and sometimes when and where you know no pain, no pleasure, it becomes a source of gladness or happiness. Likewise, the coloration of the mind, or the stories, fabrications of the mind, and you understand, we usually attribute, I am happy because of the happy object, or I am unhappy because of the encounter of the bad object. But the Buddha says, object may be the equal, 2 people can develop, 1 person happy, 1 person unhappy. That indicates it is not depending on the external things. So pleasure principle we are talking in the Western psychology, or in the sensuous world, even in the East, you can understand how much it is cut off and your mind become partial, only chasing behind the pleasure. No harm, you can try or experiment with. Imagine the innocent children we are leading through this education, through this social system, through these scholarships and prestige and all the kind of thing. It's a crime. It's a crime. This is luxury and pleasure principle. Do whatever thing justifiable or unjustifiable, just or unjust, do. So this is the way today politics. This is the way today economics. Today, this is the way today society. So therefore, today also one person asked how to give set a role model for the children, how to teach mindfulness. So each and every person in the household has their own responsibility to see how the mind is working, how it is cheating, how it is perverted, how it is camouflaged, and out of that only we are looking at the world. And instead, leave the world aside, see the different facets or different ways it is working, sometimes very congealed, sometimes over-energized, sometimes it is above the experience, sometimes it is submerged by the experience and inundated, and sometimes you are full of hatred, sometimes you're full of lust, sometimes full of lethargic and sleepy. Each and everyone, the most important thing in the Chittanupassana is, even if you are fully lustful, you can be aware that you are lustful. Mindfulness never dismissed, even if you are full of lust. Mindfulness has its own due place. Even if you are hateful to kill yourself or commit suicide or kill other person, the mindfulness can understand you are in hatred. And even in the sleepiness, sluggishness, early part, you know it. So the Buddha says, if you give the due value for the mindfulness, you may find not even a single defilement can overwhelm mindfulness, can suppress and kill mindfulness. Each and every thought moment, mindfulness is there. Only thing is you don't appreciate. You only talk about the lust, hatred, or sleepiness, and this and that. How do you know it? You know because of the mindfulness. If you have to report that I am lustful, that is because you mindfulness. But you are report like a bankruptcy, like a utter failure. You don't know, it's the greatest thing in the mindfulness to understand defilements under your very nose, red-handed. That is the most functioning, pragmatic mindfulness. So it is not you, it's an endowment of the human mind. The Buddha is addressing to that under the Chittanupassana. So therefore you are behaving in front of a mirror and observing yourself. Or other person also can do. That is what you call the noble friend. Other people also can give an unbiased opinion. But you are the best, or your mindfulness is the best. So don't suppress mindfulness. Accept it is always mobilized. It is there. And let all the emotions to come and go. They can't make a permanent change. And Venerable Buddhadasa from Thailand, explaining it, it says, when you are looking at the film, you may see the waterfall in the screen, and you may observe it falling, falling, falling. He's asking, does the screen get wet by showing the waterfall? No. Or even it is showing the volcanic, bursting energy. Does the screen feel burn? No. Like as many hateful feeling, many lustful feeling come and go. But the mind, the base, never change. Next moment you can be mindful. So, Ajahn Brahm, he says, when he goes to Mexico, he found the screen is concrete, not a cloth. And he asked, it is not lasting, the cloth can regulate its temperature, but the concrete can't. But he told that it is very expensive to have a screen, because many spectators or comers, the observers are cowboys, they come with a pistol. When two people are fighting in the screen, they are shooting one person. So the screen get damaged. If it is concrete, no problem. You see how much you are getting involved and partial, and ultimately they don't know you are in a film. You don't know you are in a darkness. You shoot. This is your mind. This is your mind. Whatever you are talking, nonsense. You don't know your mind is. It is such an interpreter. It can interpret in a completely topsy-turvy way. So Buddha is telling, never mind, even if you are a mercenary or if you are a Samaritan, bullshit. No use. Your interpretation is with sick mind. So let be aware of that. Let the mind to play all the hell and try to be mindful. Of course, you have to see the beginning, the middle and the end. Otherwise, you are not saved. So let that happen and see. An early part in the lust and the hatred, very difficult to see the beginning, the middle and end because you become completely overwhelmed. So take little or minor hatred and minor lust or desire and see the beginning, the middle and end. Once it's gone, when the hatred is replaced by the lust, hatred is gone forever. Nothing remaining. And again, when the lust or desirable feeling gone, the hatred can come and that lust is gone. Nothing to worry, nothing remaining unless your foolishness, unless your memory, unless your regret. And you are the masters to accumulate this regret and report and brood and overnight and next day morning also you feel regret because you like your past memory. Not the middle, not the no pain, no pleasure. Always you remain the bad side. So that is why it says, don't entertain worldly things, the covetousness and the grief. Try to keep in the middle and see the camouflage, see the changing coloration of the background screen in the mind. And without knowing that, whatever the conclusion you are going to do is suspicious. And once that is gone, the Buddha says, now you are ready to understand the mind object. That means they are mind-made objects. First and foremost is teaching on the Nissarana or 5 hindrances. So when I was in Panditarama, I asked one question. That may be the only question I asked, I remember. I feel all the Nissaranas are mind-made. Yes. You can't make crystals out of Nissaranas. The Kamachanda is something at that time you feel like Kamachanda. It's mind-made. And Vyapada, it's mind-made. Sleepiness and the past and future regret and excitement and doubt, all mind-made. So how much we are carried away by this mind-made thing, having so much of concrete in your body or your materiality is there, and how much you are talking and you are taking time for the hindrances. So Buddha says, now hindrances become Dhamma. Earlier hindrances known as defilements. Now it's become Dhamma. You learn the beginning, the middle and the end of each and every hindrance. Imagine without hindrances coming under your very nose, how can you experiment with? So hindrances must be there. Without that you can't progress. It is nothing to get rid of. But when and where it is happening, see the beginning, the middle and the end. And after understanding these 5 khandhas and 6 faculties and bojjhanga, that is factors of enlightenment, they are, whether you are born or not, they are there. Now you say, take your human body as a lab. Whatever coming to your human body as the hindrances or kind of thing, you use them as raw material for your experiment. So no more you consider this as defilements. You can make use them or you can recycle them. But to do that, you must have Kayanupassana or contemplation of the body as the beginning, and then Vedananupassana, feeling, and then your mind coloration or mind, that cheating mind. Then only you can understand the Nivaranas or hindrances as and when it happens. So you may find it is exactly the Nivaranas in the Buddha mind is your Nivaranas. Nivaranas also do not have any discrimination. When and where it happens, if you can understand, it is like you are handling poison with dew and having a glove in your hand or without any wound in your hand, you can handle it. No problem. But the people, those who are not endowed with the Kayanupassana, Vedananupassana, Chittanupassana, they will be completely inundated and washed off by the Nivaranas. But once a person is endowed with Kayanupassana, the contemplation of the body and the feeling and the mind, they can handle it. For them, the Buddha says, you have to. One day when I was meditating under Venupanyanarama, I told this, I feel very calm and very in a spacious kind of situation and full of contentment. When I am reporting again and again, he asked me, put little lust into that and see what is happening. What the hell? I can't deal it with because I am such a robust young man. But he has just put little lust and see. So I went there. I just wanted to put little lust and it was three-dimensional colored picture. Again it became flat screen and then black and white and then became faded off. So next day I went and told him, Bhante, at the beginning the lust is three-dimensional, colorful, and later it became flat screen and then become black and white and faded off. He can't understand. Jnanarama can't understand this 3D and kind of thing. But ultimately I told, that is what? When your mind is fully held, Nivaranas can't live there. They become fade off. So if your mind is sick, they infest it. So therefore, don't do this kind of experiment unless otherwise armed with Kayanupassana, Vedananupassana, Chittanupassana, then you find everything in this world is nothing but for you experimenting. They are raw materials and that become Dhammanupassana, mind objects. So therefore don't wait or don't expect that after Kayanupassana there's another stage and another class and another difference to the Vedananupassana and finishing that there's a stage and the class for the Chittanupassana, Dhamma. No. They are chain actions. One is leading to the other. Any person doing Kayanupassana is having fair understanding on all the other three. Whenever you are going to discriminate, your mindfulness is undermined. You can't discriminate it. They are all four facets of the same thing. So therefore don't worry that I am only in the Kayanupassana, I am waiting to Vedananupassana. Bhante is not teaching us Vedananupassana, always teaching of the Kayanupassana. No. Once the Kayanupassana becomes fulfilled, it is cascading to the Vedananupassana, then it is cascading to the Chittanupassana, then Dhammanupassana. Therefore try to be mindful as much as possible and mind your own business. With that I would like to sum up today's talk. Thank you very much for listening.